Welcome to Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation possible. You will get to hear from CSIA system integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve process challenges and how they've earned success in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, you will enjoy the insights these industry professionals bring to this podcast. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Lisa Richter, the host of Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation and processing possible. In today's episode, we're talking industrial automation with Steve Beck, who is Senior Chemical Engineer at Huffman Engineering in Omaha, Nebraska. Steve has worked in regulated industries for the majority of his career. His background in chemical engineering and chemical processes extends across industries from life sciences manufacturing to utility processes. Steve's work extends to additional industrial network designs that support data gathering from a series of manufacturing lines. He joined Huffman Engineering in January of 2017. Steve, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Let's start with your origin story. How did you end up here?
Well, this origin story goes way back because my dad worked in control systems from when I was very young, and he worked for a supplier for a while. And during that time, occasionally he would get products that were returned that couldn't be resold, things like that. And he would bring them home. And one weekend we were, bored, and he put a pile of stuff in front of me and said, "Here, how about you build a control panel?" And so I had a control panel and a bunch of buttons and switches, a PLC, power supply, a few other components, and that it took like 2 weekends, assembled and created drawings for a panel. I programmed it, had a Allen Bradley Slick 150 PLC in it. I had a DOS computer for programming it. And anyway, I did that. Well, years later, I had a lot of fun with that as a kid. But years later, after college, I was hired on in a nuclear power plant, the Fort Calhoun nuclear power plant north of Omaha. And I worked there for 10 years out of college. Control systems in nuclear power are quite a different animal from the, more modern automation systems. But when that plant closed in 2016, I was in search of a new job. I landed on Huffman Engineering or with Huffman Engineering. And a lot of that stuff that I spent a lot of time around as a kid with my dad all came rushing back. And so a funny little anecdote about this, there was a Reddit thread about, tell us about your first control panel was what it was. And I described my first control panel that I built when I was 10 and the PCIS software. And the first reply was, "So you're the person that all those job postings are looking for that has 10 years of experience when you graduate college." And there's a lot of, thanks a lot for doing that. You ruined it for the rest of us. And so it was kind of funny, but
It is definitely one of the dorkiest things I've heard in a long time.
oh, well, I appreciate it.
I'm glad there are little boys in the world building little panels in the backyard. It's great for the world. Okay, so if you're just having a conversation with a regular person, how do you describe to them what it is that you do?
There was a post out on the internet somewhere where somebody asked, "Describe what you do, but poorly." And I was reading through it, and it was in a control systems forum. And I read through it, and some of the descriptions, despite being quote unquote poor, actually seemed to be a pretty good way to describe what we do. And my favorite one out of all of them was I do IT except for industrial machines. And I kind of like that one. There was a few other ones that were varying degrees of kind of lousy descriptions, but yeah, I mean, we do program computerized controllers, do Ethernet networking and some other serial communication stuff. It has a lot of parallels with sort of, a desktop IT technician, except for PLCs and HMIs instead of desktop computers.
Last time I went to the dermatologist, I did that full skin check where they check all the crannies for any kind of weird moles or whatever. And we got on this topic of how you describe your job, poorly. And she's a very like geeky, like pale-faced in the library all the time kind of person, as you can imagine. And she just said, "Yeah, I would say I touch a lot of naked people." And just that contrast between what she looks like in her normal demeanor and that answer was just chef's kiss.
Yeah,
Oh. So, is there an industry or a product or a discipline that you specialize in, and why or why not?
that's kind of a tricky question because, as a business at Huffman Engineering, we don't like to say that we specialize in something that we, can service all things. Um, there definitely are, you don't really want to like limit yourself, but there are some products that say we end up dealing with more than others in terms of like the types of technologies and whatnot that are end customers use. From a discipline, I guess, discipline standpoint, there are a specific utility or specific industries that we work with. We have on the utility side, water and wastewater, electrical and natural gas, and then on industrial, pharmaceutical, life sciences, food and beverage, and material handling. And there's also some data analytics, cybersecurity, things like that. And that covers it. That's a really broad list of things that we do. But
Yeah, I
but
think like anything, it's the basic concepts are there and they can be applied in different applications pretty readily. And also, I think it makes a lot of sense from a business perspective to have some diversification because it makes you more resilient as a business and provides more professional development opportunities for staff as well, so that they can work on different projects and experience some new things and learn and grow and, stay interested. So I think it makes a lot of
absolutely.
sense. 100%.
Well,
So going back to the suppliers that you work with, are anyone you wanna mention or talk a little bit more about?
so we work with a pretty diverse group of suppliers. It's sort of split out by the region that we work in and where the projects are located. And then also, really, we work with the equipment and the suppliers that our customers ask us to. That's really the key is oftentimes our customers will say, "This is what we want," and we'll supply them what they ask for instead of being pushy about, "No, we only work with this type of equipment or only this supplier." We put a high value on being brand agnostic and putting an emphasis on training engineers in multiple software and hardware platforms rather than specifying this is the only thing that we'll work for. So we also have a pretty diverse amount of certifications that various employees at our office hold, and we're really proud of that. And so covers a very large amount of things that we can service, supply with our customers with, stuff like that.
Yes, I should have probably asked this earlier, but give me a little broad stroke description of Huffman Engineering as a whole. There's an office in Omaha, but it's actually based somewhere else?
Yeah, so I'm out of our Omaha office, which is one of our most recent office additions. We're based out of Lincoln, Nebraska, and the Lincoln office was the only office for 25 years. The company started in 1987. It was longer than 25 years, maybe closer to 30 years. In 2016, we opened a Colorado office, and then in 2024, we opened an Omaha office. And this year, we now have a Kearney, Nebraska office as well. So those are our four locations right now.
Yeah, that's really great. I know Wendy and Howard are the owners and starters of the business, correct? And like you said, 1987, and they have been very, very involved with CSA. I think Howard's been on the board and served on various committees and stuff like that. So we appreciate Huffman's support throughout the years for the organization and all the good work that you guys are doing. So let's talk about your customers. What are some of the challenges they're facing right now?
So I had this whole theory about customers and what they're up against. In all reality, I see two sort of lines of thinking. You've got we want to upgrade our equipment to be the newest stuff, but we also have pretty serious budget constraints. And so a lot of the stuff out there from an automation perspective is existing stuff is getting pretty old. A lot of the things that a lot of the I talked about my dad a little bit. A lot of the projects that he worked on in the 90s are now reaching end of life, and companies are being faced with, how can we replace all of this old componentry? But then at the same time, how can we get the most life out of it and utilize the least budget to upgrade only the things that we need to? So there's this like huge balance between upgrading things that may very well fail, you don't know when, and conserving as much budget as possible doing so. That trade-off seems to be, in my opinion, the biggest challenge facing our customers.
Hi, Lisa. Danny, tell the good people who you are and why you're here.
Sure, I'm the Director of Digital Learning at CSIA, and I'm here to tell you about the new CSIA Learning Hub, a professional development platform specifically designed for system integrators by system integrators.
Sounds amazing. I hear all the time how challenging it is to find content for system integrators so they can get their people up to speed quickly.
And the content is exceptional, I will say. We've worked with system integrators to create over 20 curated playlists covering essential skills at every level. We have content for team members who need the basics, as well as content for those advancing their expertise. Our skill levels range from building awareness all the way to practicing, entry level to seasoned professional.
Tell me more.
Well, it's an online platform, which means it's super flex. Teams can access training and learn at their own pace, which should be a given in today's digital environment. But what is unique is that each organization gets a customized training site. So learning managers can track progress, generate reports, and really see how their team is developing. So you'll use what CSIA built as a foundation, but from there, you can really customize the experience for your team.
So let's go back to the part where you said it was built for SIs by SIs. How was the content sourced and vetted?
That is a great question. So our playlist curation was led by Eric Schaefer, a true subject matter expert with over 20 years of experience in the system integration space. His expertise guided the selection, organization, and skill level alignment for each playlist. Think of it like Spotify. All the content is there, but imagine having a personal DJ who spent over 20 years getting to know your preferences and tailoring the perfect playlist just for you.
That sounds super useful for onboarding and developing employees. What's the catch? Is it super expensive?
Not at all. Introductory pricing is just $900 for 2025. With that, you get 4 active learner accounts and a learning manager license.
That's a really great value. There still must be some sort of catch.
No, there really isn't. Well, except that you do have to be a member of CSIA to be able to participate.
Where can people go to find out more?
They can visit www.controlsys.org/learning-hub.
Thank you, Danny.
You're very welcome, Lisa.
If you're doing a lot of water, wastewater, I imagine you're working with a lot of cities and other counties or, I don't know, states who are always under budget constraints and probably are very penny pitching, I guess is the right word. So, which, as a consumer and as a citizen, I want them to spend all the money on the clean water. Please, yes, give me the clean water, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, there's obviously, from a utility standpoint, there's essential services, right? Like you have roads, clean water, and wastewater management, because definitely don't want that waste hanging around anywhere.
No.
And so, like, I feel like there's been maybe a little bit more attention paid to those specific things, but yeah, I mean, our customers are in industries, a variety of industries, but even outside of utilities, and those some of those other industries are harder pressed to keep costs low.
So I imagine a lot of your business is repeat if you've been able to grow and open new offices and all that kind of stuff. How much, if you had to guess, would you say is repeat? And why do you think they come back again and again?
I mean, I would say the vast majority of our business is return business, repeat business. We spend a lot of time talking about what the right thing to do is, not necessarily the cheapest or fastest or what have you thing to do. And I feel like that is a big part of the repeat business is we have a customer whom had to spend a little bit more to work with us, but they get the right documentation, an easily serviceable program, things like that. And I think that there's just a lot of value we bring to the table in that specific area that our repeat customers see. And usually, once we've done one project with somebody, we're able to we see repeat business from them. So
And doesn't Huffman have like a motto, something like do things right or do right by something something?
we have 6 core values, and
Mm,
then our tagline is making ideas work,
mm,
which doesn't specifically talk about doing the right thing. It's
yeah.
about more about, say, amongst our 6 core values, one of them is embracing difficult challenges. I feel like that core value feeds the making ideas work piece.
Mhm.
But then one of those core values is doing the right thing. So
Maybe that's where I was getting it from. I don't know. I feel like I saw it in somebody's like email signature or something like that. Anyway, I digress. So let's talk about some projects that were super challenging and how you were able to solve a customer's problem.
so one of the most challenging things that I worked on in my time here at Huffman Engineering was fairly recently. We completed a fairly large project, and I'd say that the biggest challenge was not technical, but it had to do with relationships and politics. There was a company that we worked with, and we had a great relationship with them. They hired a construction company to do an expansion of their facility, and the construction company was instructed that they would use us for the control systems for the expansion of their processes. And that did not sit well with the construction company. And so they not only hoped, I think they planned right from the get go that they would get the controls portion of the project, a PO for the controls portion of the project. And then when they were told otherwise, they did a lot of things that I think were intended to make us fail, or I don't know about make us fail, but make it difficult for us. And so there was, poor communication right from the start. They were reluctant to share information needed to complete the project, stuff like that. So we faced a lot of stumbling blocks, but the project came out successful anyway. And in the end, the end customer was even more happy with us that we were able to provide the products that they wanted and navigate those roadblocks successfully. So,
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's very short-sighted of them, right? Because now nobody's going to want to work with them again. I don't know. Seems a little petty. Let me ask you a question. Don't get mad. How many people in your life truly understand what it is that you do? I'm willing to guess the answer is not too many. I get it. So many of us toil in anonymity. But what if I told you that I have a place where you can go to meet and talk and commiserate with people who do understand what you do because they do the same thing? Amazing, I know. But that's really the bottom line what CSIA is all about. And recently, we've expanded our learning and networking opportunities to help you find your people. We're calling them special interest groups. These groups are aligned around topics such as emerging leaders or marketing, and they meet virtually throughout the year with some plans for meeting in person as well, probably in conjunction with the CSIA annual conference. We will be bringing more online throughout the year, but for now, if either of those topics sound interesting, go to www.controlsys.org/events to check out what we have lined up. Full disclosure, you do need to be a member of CSIA to join the marketing SIG, but the Emerging Leaders one is open to anyone who wants to give it a try. So why not take a minute and check out the upcoming schedule at www.controlsys.org/events. Your people are waiting. What would you say is like the smartest decision your company has made recently?
I'm going to be a little self-serving, and I'm going to say that they opened an Omaha office because, I live in Omaha, and so I was commuting to Lincoln quite frequently. And now, there's a very significant portion of the state of Nebraska's manufacturing here in Omaha. and we had almost no customers in the Omaha area. I mean, there was a few, but I feel like having an Omaha presence has helped our visibility, and not to mention, I don't have to drive to Lincoln every day anymore.
I mean,
So,
what is I mean, how far is it? Like, I just picture Nebraska being huge and flat. And
well,
so
it
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 is
is kind of expansive, as a state, but my commute from my house to my office in Lincoln was 50 minutes, and now it's 10 minutes.
hmm, that's
So
significant.
it's not exactly huge. I know that there are people all over the place that commute longer than I did, but that extra hour and a half or more that I get back a day is time that I can spend with my kids, or additional time that I can spend getting work done that before was just drive, windshield time. So
Yeah. And I'm sure the winters can be kind of rough and being out on the road. I'm sure there's some desolate places and being that far away from your kids and stuff like that
mhm.
is an added stressor, I'm sure, 100%.
There's also an additional benefit to our customers, the existing customers that we had. I mean, we only had a few customers in the Omaha area at the time, but they would frequently send people to our office in Lincoln for meetings and say acceptance tests, factory acceptance tests, and things like that. Now we can host those here in Omaha, so that's less time out of their day as well.
What kind of industries, generally speaking, are in the Omaha area?
Omaha is home to a lot of food manufacturing.
Mm,
There's more than a dozen meat packing plants in the Omaha area. There's a variety of other food and beverage, dairy. There's also a handful of different plastics manufacturers, and then we have a bunch of baking, breads, snack cakes, things like that. And then we also have a couple of pharmaceutical manufacturers in Omaha, primarily animal health, because farming and livestock is a large industry in Nebraska and Iowa. And then, of course, there's utilities as well.
was it Nebraska where Little House on the Prairie was set?
Yes,
Yes.
it was.
I'm throwing out all my frame of that's it. I've exhausted my Nebraska references. You're
Well,
safe from here on out.
that's Nebraska thing. Very close by in Iowa would be like the bridges of Madison County.
Okay.
If you're familiar with that, that's not too far away.
Yeah,
So,
that's going back there a little bit of ways though, for sure.
right.
So what kind of trends and challenges are you seeing in industrial automation right now?
I'd say there's a lot of MES and MQTT buzz and activity in that area, especially from a SCADA standpoint. Something that I've heard a lot of talk about and whatnot is cloud-based stuff. And I have some thoughts about cybersecurity issues with cloud-based things, but we have at least two customers that are testing out moving a variety of SCADA components into cloud-based architecture. And I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see what they find.
So you're skeptical or
I
optimistic or
I personally am rather skeptical, but
Mm.
you know what? It will functionally work. I think that they'll be able to record data out to a cloud-based, data storage or historian, and utilize that data in, say, other business reporting and things like that in easier than they would if it was on premises at their facility. But it flies directly in the face of a lot of the, say, Cisco and Rockwell have their converged plant-wide Ethernet model that sort of is designed to limit connectivity with even corporate networks, let alone the outside world. And here we're just planning to push all that data straight past the corporate network right out onto the cloud, which the cloud isn't really a cloud. It's just somebody else's computer, right? That's a concern I have.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's a big, huge debate that could be had about the pros and cons of each approach. Totally get that. Okay, so what do you think the biggest challenges facing the automation marketplace today and for the future?
Well, one of the hottest topics of the last year, 2 years is AI. And, how do you balance the security of proprietary information in manufacturing with utilizing AI tools that are intended to learn from multiple sources and then use that knowledge that it learned to then create AI based products? I mean, and that's not even just the security of proprietary stuff, but also if AI ends up being able to do what everybody thinks it might be capable of doing, that also has the ability to move a lot of job functions from, say, smaller integrators to either larger integrators or, let's face it, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. Why can't they just take over and put every integrator out of business if they've now learned all of our secrets? I don't know. I don't feel like there's that much secret about what we do, but it's definitely a skill that
Yeah, I think there's just like the principle of the thing too. I know a lot of writers and musicians who have seen their work scraped, novelists seen their work scraped and dumped into these things without their permission, without any credit, without any remuneration. I think there's just something that doesn't seem right about it. It just doesn't seem fair.
not at all.
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts about that myself because like even our electricity bills are going up because the data centers are sucking up all the water and the electricity, and then we're paying for it so that they can create products from our intellectual IP and then charge us for it. Like, it's crazy to me. Anyway, I'm sounding like I should get my tinfoil hat on. So let's talk a little bit more about CSIA. I mentioned Howard and Wendy have been super fans, super supporters of CSIA. But from your perspective, what do you think the biggest benefit of membership is for Huffman Engineering?
Well, Huffman Engineering has been CSI certified since 2005. We were the first certified in the state of Nebraska, and we're pretty proud of that. From my perspective, when I started with Huffman Engineering, we had been CSI certified for more than 10 years at that point, and there was a lot of things that it was impressed upon me that CSIA had helped the company grow in these specific areas so that we were better at project management, better at, I don't know, a variety of things that ultimately uh, help us bring that value to our customers that I was talking about earlier. So I don't know that Huffman Engineering would be anywhere near where we are now without some of the guidance that CSIA provides to essentially help small integrators do what they do and do it very well.
But I think it's the crowdsourcing, right? It's system integrators helping other system integrators, being generous with their intellectual property, contributing to the best practices manual, holding workshops, exchanging ideas. I mean, even your marketing, is it director? Is Kimberly a director? Kimberly Shirk, she contributes up from the marketing side. She's on the committee and she attends the meetings and contributes her knowledge. So it's definitely a symbiotic kind of relationship. And, it's like anything, whatever you put in is what you're going to get out 100%.
Absolutely. Also, we continuously raise the bar on what we expect of ourselves as a company because, every time we have another visit from CSIA, they're bringing something new to the table, saying, "Well, what about this? Are you doing this?" And
Yeah.
so it helps a lot.
Awesome. So now we're on the final question, and that is, what's the best piece of advice you could give your younger self just getting started?
Oh man, I'm not entirely sure. I offer, say, I've done a handful of different, what do you call it? When you coach like a job shadow with, say, a high school or a college student.
Mentor, maybe a mentor or a
Yeah, something like that. It's like they come and spend a day with you and learn about engineering as a field. And I've heard a handful of different advices that have been given in those scenarios. But something that I like to tell much younger students is think about where you want to live and focus on the industries in that area and what knowledge you can gain to work in those industries. And the great thing, something specific about control systems that I like to impress upon potential younger versions of myself, I guess, is that control systems is something that can be applicable to a lot of industries in a lot of places. And so rather than sort of pick a job or a role or an industry that can only be done in certain cities or certain states or certain locations, control systems is a great way to find yourself wherever you would like to be. And so I think I didn't know that when I was younger, and I think that that's a great piece of advice for somebody younger is think about where you want to be actually physically, and then look at the industries served by those areas and sort of focus on that.
Now that I heard your story at the top where you said you started at 10 years old, me asking this about your advice from your younger self, like that from your 9-year-old self, like wash behind your ears and eat your spinach. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that those are simple things. And the control panel that I built then, yeah, it's informed some things about in my professional life, but I kind of look back on it now and think, wow, it definitely looks like something that a 10-year-old made. So I don't know.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Talking Industrial Automation. If you are interested in learning more about Steve or Huffman Engineering, you can find them on the CSIA Industrial Automation Exchange at www.csiexchange.com. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Steve, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also really help the show by leaving a review and sharing with colleagues. We're all just slaves to the algorithm now, so I gotta ask. Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast.